Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of the Big Machine of Solar Happiness tutorial. Today we will be looking at generators. Now this is a little bit more complicated, and let's take a look at how we make generators to show you why. If I can ever find these things, Looking at generators, we have two ways to build them. We can either make them this way with an iron furnace, 3 refined iron, and an RE battery, or we can make a regular furnace, machine block, and an RE battery. Now to make an iron furnace, you need just 8 iron ingots. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also make it out of a furnace and 5 iron ingots, but that requires more steps. So I chose this way because it's simpler. It's easier in the long run because you have to worry about less refined iron. You have to worry about less furnaces and all that fun stuff. And the really confusing part, the RE battery is in both. So pretty much either way you choose, it's going to be just as difficult because of the RE battery. And of course, if we click on the RE battery, we can't see how to make them. I don't know if that's a glitch in the game or what, but let's go look at this automatic crafting table since I already have it here. We can see that we require 4 tin, 2 redstone, and 1 copper cable. Now this seems all straightforward. We covered how to make copper cable in the last episode, and tin and redstone, fairly simple. You have 2 chests, one that's outputting 4 tin, one that's outputting 2 redstone. Should be relatively simple. But while redstone is easy, it only requires 64 EMC to make. Tin is hard. It requires 256 EMC to make. That means it's going to take longer to create 1 tin than it will to create 1 redstone. Add on top of the fact that we only need 1 copper cable. And when we make copper cable, it makes it 6 at a time. So if we just left it up that we took the copper cable machine that we made in the last episode and brought it and attached it here, we would end up with a chest completely full of copper cable after a while, and nothing else would work. We would not be able to put more tin or redstone in. It would just completely fill the chest and then break the machine. So what we have to do is create 1 bunch of copper cable per 6 pumps of the engine, and that can get confusing. So let's see if we can cover that when we go over to our single player world. And here we are back on the single player world. As you can see, I finished up the circuits so that now when we flip the switch, it outputs 2 circuits simultaneously, which is what we'll need for the solar panels. Over here, we're going to put up the generator. And this is going to be a little confusing because we need a boatload of iron initially. So let's start there. On the server, what I have created is 3 outputting from each chest, but I can't create enough to match that, so I have to cheat it. So let's try 2 per chest and work our way from there. See if that's enough. And then from there we can work and see how fast we need these to build and how many relays and compressors we need. Okay, so let's start by seeing how absolutely insanely slow this runs. Because it needs to get the whole way up to 256 to make just 1 iron ingot. So we're going to need a boatload more than just 1 condenser. So let's start by tearing out the 1 condenser. And we have to keep in mind that we still need two sides to output on. So we got to leave this side open, we got to leave this side open. So we only have here, here, and here to work with. So to say it's going to be confusing will be an understatement. Alright, so I think I got it. We have basically 4 relays with as many collectors as physically possible. One there, one there, one there, one there for the relays, and then there are collectors attached at every single place that I can attach them without them interfering with the wooden pipes. Alright, and then basically what I'm going to have to do is duplicate that a few more times. So I will do that, and I will come back. Before I do that, though, I want to apologize for what will be a bunch of jump cuts. The last video went a lot longer than I expected it to go, so I'm going to try making it faster and easier, so it's easier for you guys to see. And there we have the initial step. We got 4 chests outputting 2 each of iron, which will go into this chest here to be made into the iron furnace. So let's give this a test. Ooh, might help if I actually put the engines on it now, wouldn't it? Let's put the final touches. Ooh, let's turn this off just to avoid confusion. You can see I put gold pipes there and over there. That's just to get it to this destination just a little bit faster. Wouldn't hurt anything if we didn't. It would just take longer. But once you turn it off, all the ones that would be in here would continue going through here and into the chest anyways. So it would build up your buffer for the next time you turned it on. So it's not really a problem to do it without the gold pipes. I just do it this way. Now that we turn it on, we see everything is outputting at the right speed. We already have 20 of them, so nice collection. So first thing we need to make is the iron furnace, which is quite literally that simple. And that's it for the first part of the generator. So let's start on the second part of the generator, which will be the refined iron, the 3 refined iron that we'll need to make. And there we have it. We have the 3 we need for the refined iron. Now it was set up pretty much the same as over here, where I have a whole bunch of relays attached to the chest and a whole bunch of collectors attached to the relays so that we can get them going pretty quick. There's one exception, and that's this one here. Since we only need 1 output, since we need 3 total, we only need 1 output here. So that's all I put in there. Then from here, it's the same exact thing we did over there with the rubber, where we go up and over and attach it to a red matter furnace. Now the red matter furnace should be more than fast enough to actually output as we need. So all we should theoretically have to do is set it up to output 3 simultaneously. And that should be it. We should have enough iron right then and there to make what we need. The next thing we need to do, since we already have 2 components, we have the iron furnace and we have the 3 refined iron. The next thing we need to do is make the RE battery. Now this is where it gets complicated because we don't have the proper distribution to make copper wire properly. Since we only need 1 copper wire per pump, we'll have to cheat it. The best way I've found to do that is to output only one rubber per pump. That should be enough. But the problem we're going to come across is the copper wire, or the copper bars itself. That's going to be a little bit difficult because no matter what we do, we're always going to have too much copper. Now the way I figured out how to do that, how to work with that, is to have the copper being outputted but split into two different directions. And yes, I know that's not going to be enough yet, but I'm just using this as an example. Have the copper come out and then split into two different directions. One goes off into just another chest, so I'll just throw that there for your description, and then one goes off to where we need. Now the way, when you do this, you don't do it with a diamond or an iron pipe. If you just do it like this, it will have a 50-50 chance of going that way or that way. So when the copper ingot comes out here, it gets to here, it has a 50% chance of going off into the chest, back into nothingness, and a 50% chance of going off to be useful. This will make everything one slower than it would normally be. So basically it would be outputting one copper per 2 pumps, and the rubber will be pumping out 1 per 6 pumps. And this should add up so that we have the proper distribution where we're outputting 1 bundle of copper cable per 6 pumps. So I shall finish this up. This will be pretty much the exact same thing that we're used to, where we go up and over into a red matter furnace and then pumped out of the red matter furnace just as we're used to. Okay, so now that we have this set up, and I have the copper running fast enough that we're going to produce enough that we're to push 1 out per pump, we come across a small problem. What are we going to do with the excess that comes off here? If we just put it in a chest like I had it before, well, eventually we're going to build up and then the chest is going to overflow. One way to do it is to set it up so that there is some kind of destruction there. You could put a lava pit there, or one of the newer mods gave us the incinerator. Basically, it's a block that you can sit, in your pipes, basically like that. Anything that goes in there goes poof, just completely disappears. What I like to do is put an alchemical chest there, and then put a gem of eternal density in it. And then anything that gets put in there gets compressed. So now anything with an EMC value gets compressed down into something worth more EMC. So copper turns into iron, turns into gold, turns into diamond, turns into dark matter, and turns into red matter. Now this takes a long time. We could probably run this for hours and only have maybe 10 red iron, maybe, if we're lucky. So you could see just how long you could run it without even filling the thing. Plus, if we do it this way, we also have the added advantage of getting red matter. We're not just completely destroying the copper, we're getting red matter out of it. And if you use equivalent exchange for transmuting, that's really useful. Alright, so we should have all the parts we need. Let's turn it on and make sure everything outputs like it should. We're outputting copper, that's good. We can see we're outputting resin. We can see the copper already went off that way. Now if you watch this, you won't see it that one after another will go. Sometimes a bunch will go this way, sometimes a bunch will go that way, but in the long run, after hundreds of permutations, it will equal out to 50-50. You won't have a problem. So it's going in there and coming out there. We're getting our refined iron. And Didn't fix that. And we're getting our iron furnace there. Our refined iron is coming out here. That's all outputting like it should. Alrighty, so we have a large chunk of this ready. So, next thing we need to do is set it up so that it actually creates the copper wire. That's not where we want that. We want that over here. That. So we set that up to create the copper cable. And then we get that to output into its own little chest. Right, and then we get the copper cable coming out here. And then we work on tin. Now, tin is going to end up being the same as the iron over here. It takes up a lot of EMC to make, and we need 4 of them. So I'm pretty much going to duplicate this, but instead of iron, it's going to be tin. And there we can see that I've finished. We have 4 chests outputting 2 each for tin. And I can see from a distance that I've already forgotten to put on the engines. But that's a simple fix. This is why we look over everything before we put it into production. And then the last step will be to get 2 redstone. Now that should be relatively easy. It is pretty much the same as everything else. We just need to output 2 at once. And there we have it. We have the redstone coming out of here, going into here. We have the copper wire coming out of here, going in here. Then we have 4 tin all collecting into here. So let us turn this on and make sure it works. Copper coming out. I don't think we have enough to make. No, we do not. So we just gotta wait for everything to catch up. And there we have our first set of copper wires coming out. Okay, so we are having a slight problem, and I think it's coming down to the fact that that's not a true one after the other, after the other, after the other. Yeah. So, what we should do, and this is how mine's set up back at the other place, is take some copper out of here, put it in here so we have a buffer, and then rely on the rubber to output 1 at a time, and then we get 1 bundle of cable for every 6 pumps. And then with that buffer, that should give us enough so to alleviate any kind of abnormalities where a whole bunch go this way all at once, but later on a whole bunch go this way. So it should make life easier. So then all we have to do is the final 2 steps, which is to make the RE battery and then combine it all into a generator. And we have RE batteries coming out. And then the final task, after I dig myself out of the trap I put myself in, is to set it up that it makes the generator. So iron furnace, 3 refined iron, and when they catch up, an RE battery. And then that makes the generator. And then from there, it's just a simple task of pumping it down the line to the chest that we created earlier. This is where all our circuits go. Now, as you can see, I've kind of trapped myself. The second I put a pipe there, it connects there. Same with there, it connects there. So I've kind of trapped myself. This can happen a lot, but sometimes you just have to improvise. This is where the stone transport pipes come in. No, it's not. This is where digging a hole helps a lot. Basically, we just dig under everything. Since now we're using stone transport pipes as opposed to cobble transport pipes, they don't connect and give us problems. And then putting in a gold transport pipe with redstone torch underneath it. And now we're outputting generators that will get shot off to the chest that we were using before. Now with proper planning and designing, this can all be designed easier so that everything works smoothly. But sometimes you just gotta improvise. And that is that for episode 2. And yes, I know some of these engines are out of sync, but that's because I never turned it off when I put that engine and that engine in place. So that's why everything's being a little goofy. So, I will see you in episode 3, where we put everything together and finalize it. See you next episode. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to check and make sure that everything was actually running properly at full speed. You know, the one cardinal sin of making giant-ass machinery. Alright, so the real thing we were worried about was the iron and the tin. And since the iron has the same EMC value as the tin, and it's built identical to the iron, I should just need to check this. And as long as this is working, which it is, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. That means the tin is working. And I bet you a lot of people are screaming and yelling, I done screwed up with the tin. Yeah, that was my own stupid mistake. I put 8 in instead of just the required 4. So I have now disabled the other 2. And now we're balancing out 0, 4, 0, 4, 0, 4. Right, so, and that's going 6, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. That's balancing out just fine. 9, 8, 4, 3, 2. This is balancing out just fine. I gotta do something with all that tin. Another worry here was the copper. And that might be a little bit of a concern because that's not a lot of copper. We'll have to come back and check on it. Okay, so what I did to try to fix the copper problem was I switched over to a diamond transport pipe and let it run for a long time. And it seems to have balanced out. It seems to be fluctuating somewhere around mid-50s to 64. So it seems to have fixed the problem. And how you use a diamond pipe is relatively simple. You see how there are different kellers for each of the sides that are connected? There are 6 total kellers, one for each possible side. And if you right-click on the diamond pipe, you'll get the GUI. And then from here, you can pick the kellers of which direction you want things to go in. And you just put copper in both sides. See how we have the blue and the yellow? That matches up with the blue there and the yellow there. Now that'll mean that a closer to true 50% will go that way and 50% will go that way. The diamond pipe is a little bit more consistent on that. At least that's what I've been told. So far it's working out like it should. You can also use this trick for other things, like say you need it, 2/3 to go this way and 1/3 to go this way. All you have to do is put another copper ingot here, and it will focus on sending 2/3 out the yellow side and 1/3 out the blue side. But that takes care of that. That should be significantly less of a problem than even I have on the server. So now I can safely say, see you next episode.